Detailed summary of each chapter. Chapter 1. I Am. Consciousness is the only true reality and is synonymous with God or your infinite self. Your concept and awareness of yourself shape your reality. By changing your self-concept, you change your world. I Am is the eternal, unchanging presence of awareness behind all phenomena. Manifestations like circumstances and material objects are momentary, arising out of consciousness. Realize that you are the I Am and transform limitations by assuming greater concepts of yourself. Chapter 2. Consciousness. Your consciousness is the sole creator of your reality. Nothing exists outside of your consciousness of it. To change any condition, change your state of consciousness regarding it. Shift from thinking of your desire to thinking from it. Consciousness automatically objectifies itself based on your assumptions and self-concept. Shift your inner world to reshape the outer. Events perceived as chance or accident are logical effects of states of consciousness. There are no true accidents. The evolution of consciousness cannot produce anything external to itself. All manifestations are varying expressions of the one consciousness. Chapter 3. Power of Assumption. The key to consciously creating is assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled until it is your dominant state. Persist in this assumption with unswerving conviction and ignore any sensory evidence to the contrary. Your assumption must feel natural. Assumption alters your state of consciousness, which then alters outer conditions to align with it. To change yourself, you must abandon your present concept and assume a new one. The continuity of consciousness is broken by this shift. True knowledge and change come only from thinking from a new state, not thinking off it. Become the ideal to attain it. Chapter 4. Desire. Intense desire, combined with assuming the feeling of fulfillment, sets your manifestation in motion. They are prerequisites. Observe how your reactions reveal your dominant assumptions. Unfulfilled desire indicates false assumptions requiring change. Ignore the world of senses and assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it crowds out all else. This puts you in the proper state. To rise to a new state of being, you must abandon yourself to your ideal with full conviction it is real. Then your world reshapes accordingly. Desire always springs from an awareness of ultimate attainment. Without this awareness, desire would be impossible. Chapter 5. The Truth That Sets You Free. Your assumptions determine your experiences. You can change assumptions through consciously controlling imagination. Form a mental picture and feel yourself to be in the desired state. Maintain this imagined state as present reality. A controlled imagination focused steadily on the feeling of the wish fulfilled manifests the desire. You are only limited by uncontrolled imagination and lack of attention on the wish fulfilled. Control them and all limits disappear. The ability to enter at will the imagined states identical to the feeling of fulfilled desires gives you dominion over your future. Chapter 6. Attention. Attention energized by desire and focused wholly on the feeling of the wish fulfilled is essential for manifestation. Attention must be fixed one-pointedly on the feeling of being and having all that you desire with no distraction. The power of attention increases in proportion to how narrowly it is focused on a single idea or sensation. Each night, practice reliving the events of your day in reverse order to develop control over attention. Mastering the direction of attention within imagination is the great secret of success and the means to freedom. Chapter 7. Attitude. Outer conditions precisely reflect your inner assumptions and predominant thoughts, feelings, and attitudes. To change another, change your attitude toward them by imagining them to embody the qualities desired. This alters their behavior. What you react to reveals where you live mentally. React only to the good, and you create good. You never see truth objectively. Your perception is warped by your beliefs to confirm them. Change belief to change perception. There are no absolute truths or falsities. All external facts are subjectively interpreted through your consciousness. Chapter 8. Renunciation. Resisting or fighting evils perpetuates them. Renouncing means ignoring outer conditions and assuming the ideal within. React lovingly rather than antagonistically, and you transform consciousness. Then the outer reflects this change. Renunciation means turning attention away from problems and towards inhabiting the wish fulfilled. This, and not force, brings change. Assume the best for yourself and others. Dwell only on the good, and it is strengthened. Prune your mind of unlovely thoughts and feelings. Think truly, and your thoughts will feed the famished world. Chapter 9. Preparing your place. Assume complete identification with the wish fulfilled to ascend to a higher state of consciousness. You do not acquire the new state. You yield to it, surrender to it, and become one with it. Consciously transfer your attention from the without to the within. Live imaginatively in the feeling of fulfilled desire. This plants the seed in consciousness which sprouts into the physical manifestation. Cause is psychological, effect is physical. What is now an inner truth will express itself outwardly. As within, so without. Remain faithful to the assumption. Chapter 10. Creation. All possible states exist simultaneously and are experienced according to your assumptions about yourself. Your concept of yourself determines which plane you inhabit and your course through time. There are no accidents. To change experience, change your assumptions. This alters your state of consciousness and what it manifests. Use imagination masterfully to view reality from the perspective of the wish fulfilled. Make it pleasurable, and you will live there. Persist in this imaginary state, refusing to be drawn back by senses. Then it will crystallize into external reality. Chapter 11. Interference. Persist in your assumption regardless of discouraging sensory evidence. Soon the evidence will conform. Ignore appearances. Do not be influenced by conditions, circumstances, or events that deny your assumption. The outer will change as the inner is maintained. A bridge of events and incidents develops that links your inner reality to its equivalent outer manifestation. Consciousness shapes reality, incidents follow suit. The secret of success is sustained attention focused on the feeling of the wish fulfilled until it dominates consciousness. Distraction by the outer world leads to failure. Your thoughts must be one-pointedly fixed on the feeling of being and having that which you desire. Chapter 12. Subjective control. Outer senses dominate attention unless mastered from within. This mastery allows you to reshape reality at will. Control imagination and attention first in order to achieve this dominance over the outer. They will otherwise control you. Conscious concentration on the wish fulfilled generates the necessary feeling of naturalness that brings the desire to pass. Most use imagination passively as daydreaming. Active use means controlling direction and concentrated attention. Persistent living in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key to full control of outcomes. Chapter 13. Acceptance. To embody a wish, you must assume the feeling of the wish being fulfilled until it is a natural state. Your attention must be fully captured by the feeling to the exclusion of all else. Make the imagined sensation vivid. Allow the wish fulfillment to crowd all other ideas out of consciousness. This complete acceptance yields the reality. When assumption feels natural, the dualism between inner and outer disappears. They fuse into one. When you return from imagination to the physical world, outer transformation may at first shock you with its realism. Chapter 14. The Effortless Way. Minimum mental effort is needed to manifest desires by living wholly in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Assumption naturally induces physical immobility, relaxed concentration, and first-person sensory imagination of already having what you desire. Expectation brings the feeling of naturalness, which manifests easily without willpower, strain, or stress. To think from the end is effortless, pleasurable, and induces conviction. Thinking about the end requires effort and belief. This law cannot force outcomes against your imagination. By effortless assumption, your consciousness reconfigures reality. Chapter 15. The Crown of the Mysteries. The assumption of the wish fulfilled is the crown of consciousness techniques for shaping reality. If persisted in, your assumption becomes fact. No power can prevent fulfillment once you assume the feeling of having your wish fulfilled. You must imagine yourself already having and being what you want to achieve and maintain this as your dominant feeling. This law works universally, whether goals are material, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual. Persistence in assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled results in subconsciously reconfiguring the outer conditions to conform to the inner. Chapter 16. Personal Impotence. You have no power to force outcomes. You can only change your state of consciousness. The law of assumption creates through you, not by you. Once a state is assumed, it objectifies itself. Your feeling of naturalness in the assumed state is what allows it to be realized. Forced attempts will fail. Do not try to make something happen. Become it imaginatively first. Expression comes through being, not doing. Surrender yourself completely to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Then, subjective power can work unimpeded. Chapter 17. All things are possible. Imagination is unlimited. Therefore, all you can imagine is possible. Limitations are self-imposed by false assumptions. Failure results from inadequate impressing of the subconscious, not any real impossibility. Persist and succeed. Only uncontrolled imagination limits you. Control imagination by consistently occupying the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Essential disciplines are concentration on your ideal and persistence in the assumption you already have it. Reshape consciousness by imagining and feeling that you are what you want to be. Then mirror it naturally in conditions. Chapter 18. Be Your Doers. Do not be satisfied with merely wanting or thinking about your desire. You must enter and feel yourself into the wish fulfilled. Just wishing creates nothing. You must assume the feeling that would be yours if your wish were fulfilled. Then it will manifest. The world echoes only your dominant inner conversations and imagination. Change these and the echo changes. Construct your inner world with relentless fidelity to the feeling that you already have what you desire. You are doomed to perpetual failure if you do not occupy the consciousness of being and having your goal achieved. Chapter 19. Essentials. The essentials for manifestation are first defining your object of intense desire, then assuming you have it. The greater the longing and intensity of desire, the more quickly it will manifest due to the concentrated energy of consciousness. After desire, induce physical immobility bordering on sleep while remaining mentally alert and imagining the wish fulfilled. Finally, in first-person present tense, imaginatively enact all sensory details of already having what you desire with vivid lifelikeness. Persist in this state until falling asleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Convince the subconscious it is reality and it will conform. Chapter 20. Righteousness. Righteousness means assuming you already have what you desire. This conviction of fulfilled desire sets the law in motion. Lack of righteousness, unbelief in attainment, results in missing the mark and sin, which is suffering and unfulfillment. Have unwavering certainty that your assumption will harden into fact by the law. This is righteousness. Persist in feeling yourself to be one who has attained the new state. Convince yourself by sustained inner conversations. The righteousness of fulfilled desire sets you free. The sin of unbelief in attainment imprisons you in limitation. Chapter 21. Free will. You are free to choose which states to occupy, but not what happens afterwards. The outer always conforms to the inner. Your attention is compelled to dwell on sensations that align with assumptions. This determines your destiny. To change destiny, change your assumptions. Consistent occupation of the new state impresses it on your subconscious, which then objectifies it. It is a delusion that anything but assumption causes outcomes. Circumstances only bear witness to consciousness. Assumption impresses itself subconsciously and compels your attention to perceive and act in ways congruent with it. Chapter 22. Persistence. Persisting in the assumption of the wish fulfilled until it completely fills your mind is what allows it to harden into fact. Ignore any evidence of the senses which deny your assumption. Maintain inner conviction that your assumption is reality. Make your aim being persistent in this conviction that you already have what you desire rather than just vacant wishing. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled consistently until it becomes your dominant feeling. Then it must materialize. The subconscious accepts as true that which you persistently assume. So persist until the subconscious rearranges conditions. Chapter 23. Case histories. Neville presents numerous case studies of people using the law of assumptions successfully in various areas of life. The stories show how desire plus imagination of fulfilled desire alters circumstances even in seemingly impossible or hopeless situations. They illustrate the principles and serve as examples so you can see exactly how it works and are convinced it is real. The cases range from health, career, relationships, and more. But the underlying pattern of assuming fulfillment is identical in all. Through these inspirational stories, Neville aims to build your faith and motivate you to apply the principles until you succeed. Chapter 24. Failure. Failure means you did not persist in maintaining the natural feeling of wish fulfilled. Naturalness is key. Use imagination to feel naturalness in the desired state. Make mental realism so vivid that outer denial seems unreal. Failure does not negate the truth that assumptions manifest if you impress them subconsciously by persistently feeling natural in them. When assumption feels natural, you rise subconsciously to that state, and the evidence reflects this. Restrictions are self-imposed. They will melt when imagination feels natural in the wish fulfilled consistently. This is the secret. Chapter 25. Faith. Have faith that what you assume to be true about yourself and life with conviction will manifest. Lack of faith means a lack of belief in the reality of your assumption. This disbelief prevents manifestation. The law works perfectly whether assumptions are applied in faith or unbelief. But only faith brings about manifestation. Have unwavering certainty that your assumptions will perfectly externalize as physical facts. This is faith. Faith does not question, doubt, or analyze how fulfillment will come. It simply accepts the inner as reality, which then reflects outwardly. Chapter 26. Destiny. Your destiny evolves constantly based on your states of consciousness and assumptions. Each attained desire becomes the starting point for the next. There is no final or ultimate destiny, since life is eternal change. You are creating your destiny in every moment, whether consciously or not, by your inner assumptions and reactions. The key to consciously determining your destiny is the choice of the inner state, combined with persistence in assuming it is reality. As you realize your consciousness creates destiny, you gain enormous power to consciously determine successive destinies. Chapter 27. Reverence. Recognizing the power of imagination and assumption to shape reality naturally leads to profound reverence. Feel divine reverence in realizing you can manifest transcendent glory by directing your imagination and consciousness. Maintain unbroken awareness that your concept of yourself determines experience, and you can change this concept. Let the awareness of the limitless potential within fill you with bliss, awe, and devotion in each moment. Revere the presence within you that effortlessly shapes reality according to the contours of imagination and assumption.
Now listen to this again, or check the links around this video to find other summaries of either this book or other important books.
Happy manifesting.